D, wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? So today we are going to be doing it's a little late, but we're going to be doing a season 2 review of Star Trek Picard. I'm being joined by Barry P. Cook from Hypersonic Positronic. How you doing, Barry?
Good.
Awesome. That's great. So we're going to do this review, you guys, give our thoughts and everything on this season and everything, break it down, all that good stuff. Before I get started, though, I just want to say that if you like what I do here and you enjoy independent content here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to both our channels. YouTube is always changing up their algorithm. Small channels like mine and Barry's, they always get shoved to the back of the line. So please ask that you like, share, and subscribe. And we both thank you in advance. So now that we've got that out of the way, the business section of it. So Barry, what did you think about this season overall?
To sort of just encapsulate it in a phrase, it was like a few points of light covered in a pile of doo-doo. It's like, yeah, some good moments, but just surrounded in dumb.
Yeah, I thought, it like started off all pretty good, and then it just plummeted. It just went right over the edge, and was very annoying. It was shit. It's pure shit. I hated this season so much. This show is nonsense, and we're gonna get into that just a little bit more. Was there an episode what episode do you think like it went downhill for you personally?
Yeah, I'm thinking that I really liked the first 2 episodes. The next 2, I was like, okay, it's all right. But then after that, it was...
Yeah, I think the third episode was probably like where it went downhill for me also. Like the 4th episode was very bad. And then just after that, it was just nonsense. I personally, I don't think that the people writing this show and the people that run this show, I don't think they like Star Trek. I don't think that I just think they want the IP and they want the name of calling it Star Trek. I don't think they like it. And I don't think Patrick Stewart, I don't think he likes Picard. I don't think he likes this character. I think he just likes, telling his political story, but through nonsense, because this is not, in my opinion, expert storytelling. I just don't like it.
He lost the plot somewhere along the line.
Yeah, I think, that, this whole thing about like putting modern day issues, especially political issues, into this futuristic show that should be a science fiction allegorical adventure show, and putting that in there and then like not doing it. Like, guys, and I've said this before and other people say, Star Trek has always been political, but they do it in this like savvy way where it makes you think, and you have to like go and look up stuff yourself. It just doesn't outright say these things. And then,
it seems like in the past, Star Trek wasn't quite as heavy-handed.
Yeah.
The way they seem to do it, especially on Discovery, is sloppy.
Yes.
Yeah, and not at all finessed.
Yeah.
That's part of the issue with it.
Yeah, I don't think these writers, I don't think they really know how to write. I mean, I'm like, I don't know where they went to school at, but I'm just like, maybe you guys should like, take some of the budget and hire like some writers from Brown or something, because these writers suck. So what are your, so I have said this from the beginning that they're just basically, this season they did a lot of repurposing, like from First Contact, Voyage Home, especially Voyage Home, and even like some of the Mirror Universe with that first 2 episodes and everything.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts about them borrowing such repurposing so heavily from old Trek?
I don't know how that happens, especially since we've noticed that they don't. I mean, I wouldn't say they don't like Star Trek. I definitely think they might be fond of it. I don't think they revere it.
Mhm.
And you know, from the perspective of a fan, you can be a casual, you can be a diehard, but if you're making the thing, you kind of need to revere it,
Right.
as you would Star Wars or anything, any IP, and they don't. So what it amounts to, what they do, it amounts to fumbling around, and they think they're being clever, and they're saying, let's do this callback, but they don't always understand exactly what it is. They get it on the surface. And so, one, I don't know how it is that they even connect with that stuff, because they don't, like I said, revere it. But then what's worse is they botch it a lot of the time when they're doing that. So it's
Right
maddening.
on. Yeah. I don't know, man. Like I agree with you, but kind of. I just, I don't know. I don't know if they like it. I really don't, because like I'm like, if you liked it, you wouldn't. I don't know. You wouldn't want to screw it up so much. And I feel like they just want to tear it down instead of building onto it. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, that's certainly possible. If that's the case, it must vary from team to team within the Star Trek tent over there, because Prodigy is a different animal. I really like Prodigy. I think they get it. Lower Decks, I still don't love how it's supposed to be canon, and yet the characters that are supposed to be Starfleet officers act in ways that are not very officer-like. But the people who make that show clearly adore Star Trek, and have a reverence for it. And I think on Strange New Worlds, they seem to get it a little bit more. But Discovery and Picard, no, no. So I think from team to team, there's a different level of appreciation of it, but it's definitely the lowest on Discovery and Picard.
Yeah, I don't like, because they brought in what's his face, who he wrote 12 Monkeys. I'm trying to remember his name. And I thought that he would be, a little bit better. But no, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. It was yeah, the season sucked. Okay, so in saying that, I wanted to talk to you about some of the characters and their progression through this season, and then their endings.
Yeah.
So the first one, and then I did want to talk to you about the plot of this one.
Yeah.
But let's well, you know what? Can we talk about the plot first, and then we'll talk about that?
Okay.
So plot wise, okay. So the whole thing with this was, they had to go back in time because Rene Picard didn't go on the Europa mission,
Right.
and that meant that everybody had to turn to Dr. Soong, and ended up hating everybody in the universe, and making the Confederation,
Yes.
or the Terran
Yeah. Right.
Empire. I thought this was such a weak plot. Like, I'm all like, and they took so long to drag it out. I was like, this is it. Like, is whatever great granddaughter didn't go on the Europa mission, and that's what they got to stop. And I'm like, and they roped in Q, and I'm all like, what's okay? And Q's whole thing, like, this isn't about, what did he say? This isn't about learning a lesson, Jean-Luc. This is about revenge, or some crap like that. I can't remember, and everything. So I thought
I think he said penance.
Yeah, and I'm all like, okay. And then at the end, he was all like, you needed to learn to forgive yourself. I'm like, what? What's going on here? What's going on?
It's almost like the first part was written by one or two people, and then at the end, two other people or one other person wrote it, and they didn't talk to each other.
Right. Yeah, no, I just I don't know. I thought I was like, you know what, I always think, like, you could have a solid idea in here. And I always feel like, because I was always told when you're writing, when I was in school, that you don't go with your first idea. you take your first idea and you throw it out and you come up with a second idea. And then you take your second idea and you throw it out and then you come up with a third idea, because your third idea is usually you trying to just constantly come up with something better. And I think these people just go with their very first idea. They're just like, oh, yes, this is it. It's going to be awesome. Renee doesn't go on the Europa mission. Everybody on planet Earth becomes, racist or speciesist and everything. And I was all like, okay, whatever, I guess. I mean, hard times, I guess. But
yeah, it certainly seems like something like that is going on, because in these episodes, what seems to me to happen is they're so married to this premise that they've come up with that even when something comes up that would sort of derail it, rather than say, you know what, we can't pursue this, we have to change tactics and write something else, they plow ahead with it no matter what contrivancy they have to come up with to make it work.
Right on.
So I think that goes to what you're saying. They're just stuck on this initial idea and they just go with it no matter what, and the result is dumbness.
Yeah, and it's just so nonsensical. Like, I'm all like, I don't know. And then just like, I think like, for instance, Q, they brought in Q to do this whole thing, but I'm all like, I feel like it was just a big waste. It was like,
It largely was.
I'm like, you just brought it in for member berries. Like, everybody's gonna be like, oh, and Guinan, the same thing with, hey, I'm Guinan. And I'm all like, you didn't bring Guinan in for anything special. I mean, what words of wisdom did that bitch give? I mean, nothing. I mean, like, I remember Guinan being very like thought provoking in Star Trek, but even the little girl that played Guinan.
Oh yeah.
And I'm all like, not this one. This one's like, I'm like, well, she's all like, I don't want to tell you about our first meeting. And I'm all like, what's going on here? I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Really bad.
So now we can move on to those characters that I want to talk about, because some of them are not coming back.
Right.
And I just have to say, well, first off, the first one I want to talk about is Rios.
Yeah.
Because I knew from the beginning, as soon as they like landed on Earth and in 2024, and he ate that peanut butter cookie, he's like, this is so good, it's real peanut butter. And I'm all like, listen, I like peanut butter, but I mean, you're telling me like energized peanut butter isn't delicious? What's going on here? This is so ridiculous. It's so stupid.
Well, it is made from poop, according to Discovery.
Yeah, I mean, and I just I was that's funny. I remember that now. Yeah. But I was all like, as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, he's gonna stay here. He's gonna stay in the past because you didn't fit in with the future. And I'm all like, well, get over it.
I started to think that at the gala, when he talks about how exciting the past is.
Yeah.
But the only reason I, right to the end, didn't think he was going to actually do it, and that I thought instead he was going to take them to the future, was that he couldn't possibly be that selfish as a person and as a Starfleet officer to skip out on his crew, for one thing, because theoretically everything he did still happened because it's a loop. But like, he goes back and he just abandoned his crew, he abandoned his career, and he could mess up the timeline. So it's like, what?
Right.
Didn't believe they were going to do it.
Right on.
And they did.
And then I wanted to talk about, I didn't see Eleanor on the cast list for season 3, so I'm assuming he's done. Are you, but I mean, like, he was on that ship, he survived, which I was like, oh, that's so dumb that he survived. Rafi abandons her real son and then her fake son, which dies, which I didn't really get the whole mother-son thing from season 1. So all that shit must have happened in between, and I'm all like, they did a poor job of explaining it, because I was all like, I'm not feeling it.
No.
Which I got that a lot through this season, like the love thing between Rios and that doctor. I was like, this is so forced. Like, I'm not getting a relationship or even like feelings at all. I'm all like, you're just telling me they have feelings for each other, and I'm supposed to believe it.
They
But
didn't cook that anywhere near long enough.
yeah,
All the stuff they dragged out this season, that's one thing that could have used.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I'm all like, yeah. But so Eleanor won't be back. I won't miss him. Yeah, because like that whole thing with this is like, and I get they did it for this season because they went in the past, but there's no laser, there's no stunning or set phases to stun and crap, and there's no shooting phasers even in Discovery. They're using swords and stuff, and I'm like, what's going on here? This isn't Star Trek. Like, what is going on here? And maybe it's because it costs money and time and stuff to do that, but I'm all like, well, maybe you guys need to put in the time and money, like maybe bust it down a couple episodes, which they could totally do that.
Oh, absolutely.
I
won't miss him either.
I have a feeling that Talon isn't going to be back either, / Loris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought I read somewhere that her involvement might be vastly reduced, but that we might see her.
Well, I think it should be reduced to nothing because she I mean that was the same thing. Like that she's all of a sudden her and Picard are in love. Like what? What are you talking about? We got married because we had to on Romulus and everything. And I'm all like, okay, but I'm like, you're all of a sudden in love with your boss now because your husband died off screen in between seasons. A lot of it happened in between seasons that we are not privy to in any way, shape, or form, except a passing sentence of,
right.
Oh, by the way, my husband died, guys.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. So Loris is gone, and then hold on, Q is dead.
Right.
Which I really, the stuff that I found fascinating, they didn't even kind of try to talk about. Like Q dying. I'm all like, is he the first Q to die? Is this like a thing? Like, do they have old age and that's what he's dying from? Did he die of a disease? Can the Qs get a disease? What's going on here? This is something that should have been explored way better than this stupid learn to forgive yourself, Picard. Because I'm all like, okay, he was like, what, 10? Okay, he can't get over the fact that he unlocked his mom's door and then she offed herself. Like, you need to get over yourself. I'll tell you that.
He and I think they would have been served better to frame it more as an evolution.
Yeah.
To a death, because I mean, and he kind of gave some lip service to that. He's like, oh, at first I thought it was just evolving, but no, I'm really dying. He's like, why? Why did they have to? I don't understand why they had to make that point. Qs have died before, like they had a civil war in the Continuum and some of them died, but it was at the hands of other Q.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. It was just such a mishmash. The whole thing was such a mishmash.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, it's I'm just like, sometimes I was watching and I was like, this is a way better story here. And you guys are not even trying. I don't know. I feel like they weren't even trying. Like, they were just like, go with this. And then the last one I want to talk about, unless I missed one, I can't think if I missed one, but was Dr. Agnes Girardi. She will not be returning because she's now the Borg queen. What did you think about this portion of the program?
I think it's just so hard to say anything other than the same thing over and over again, because the one problem that keeps messing up everything this season is that everything was undercooked. Everything just scratched the surface. So like you were saying about Laris liking Picard and the Q thing, and now this was another thing where they threw out a few lines about how Agnes has always been kind of lonely and never felt like she fit in. And so naturally, that leads right to wanting to join the Borg. And wait, what? It doesn't make
Yeah. And I'm like, it was so stupid. And then it's like we're gonna find all the specialist people in the world, and we're gonna take that and we're gonna add it to our collective, and we'll have all these special things. And I'm all like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I don't, do you guys even know what the Borg is? Like the Borg, they add everything to their collective. That's what makes them so like, fun / scary, is like, they don't care what you have to offer. They just want it.
I didn't have a problem so much with the idea of the
Mm,
Borg changing and the Borg evolving,
mm,
because I think, because we've already seen that, right, with Seven over the course of Voyager, in the case of a single Borg, and to a lesser extent with Hugh Borg. Hugh, I always have to say the H, Hugh Borg, where they explored the idea of what's it like when you're stripped of, oh, there goes my stupid phone, everything that makes you you, and
right.
when you have to stretch out in a new direction. And so I think the idea of watching the collective go through something like that and change and grow like the Klingon Empire did, like to a certain extent the Romulans did over time, would have been really cool.
Mm.
But they didn't have the time for that, even within 10 episodes. If they had dedicated the whole thing, I don't think they would have had time to do it. It would have because in those other cases it took years. The Klingons,
Wrong.
Seven, that all took years, that evolution. So I thought it was an intriguing concept. I thought that the lines that they wrote to get there were stupid, like you were saying. And the idea that the next season is not going to be about the Borg guarding that hole or whatever it is, at least I don't think it is, because if she's not in it, then how they're not doing that, it would seem. So because this would be where they left it would be the perfect jumping off point to do what I'm talking about, show the Borg changing, explore that whole thing, explore what that anomaly is. How did the Borg fit into the Federation? I don't think that's where they're going. I mean, not if she's not going to be in it. So it's so stupid.
Right on. So the last thing I want to talk to you about this was the whole thing with Picard's mom and her killing herself.
Yeah.
So and you can tell me if I'm wrong, because I can't really remember. So I thought that there was something where Picard's dad and brother died in a fire at the chateau. Am I right on that? Because I don't remember very well. And then I didn't think did his mom kill himself or kill herself originally? Because I'm like, I don't remember that.
No, what happened was in Generations, they started the movie off where I believe it was the brother, Robert, and the nephew, Rene, whose name was also Rene, died in the fire.
Okay.
And his mother was only depicted once in one of the first season episodes, when he sees like a vision of her on the Enterprise because some aliens are messing with them, or a particular spot in space is messing with them. And he sees a vision of her as an old lady, which is what he says, I used to imagine her as an old lady, and that I would see her and have tea with her, which I thought was hilarious, because diehard fans realized right away that she lived to be an old lady. And so they were totally like retconning it. But when they revealed the part about him saying, oh, I used to imagine her as an old lady, you don't see him. It's a voiceover. So I wondered if they went back and had to slip that in to cover their ass.
Right on.
But yeah, she originally lived to be an old lady. And in fact, in Generations, he has that scrapbook that he's going through. And they actually made a prop and they put pictures in it. And it didn't make the movie, but if you see videos about the prop, that picture of her is in there.
Okay.
original lady is in there. So yeah, obviously it's a retcon, but I don't know. I thought that they explained it well enough.
Gotcha. And then I love how he just watched his mom kill herself, or like found the body and everything. I was like, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
One thing I forgot to mention was Soji.
Oh yeah.
She was in this, but for like a hot dumb minute.
Yeah.
And she went with the Travelers.
Yes.
And how did you feel about that? Well, first off, I just want to say, as soon as Will Wheaton showed up, I immediately said out loud, "Shut up, Wesley." But
talk about out of left field.
So out of left field.
Like what? What?
Well,
because and the whole thing with Wesley becoming a traveler and all that was handled over the course of multiple episodes of Next Gen. And they showed him evolving and even developing like the ability to stop time, if you remember, which I had forgotten, but I saw a video on it recently. So
yeah, I had forgotten too, because I was like, you're mentioning it, and I was like, I kind of don't remember.
Like he met the Traveler a couple of different times,
right?
And
I remember the Traveler.
Yeah, the first time the Traveler was like, oh, Wesley is particularly attuned to time and space or whatever, and then like another time, he actually witnesses Wesley like stop time, and he even the Traveler had masqueraded as an American Indian at one point. It was a weird thing, but it took more than one sort of instance for them to get across this idea that Wesley was different and Wesley was special, and that's why he becomes a Traveler. With Soji, he just it's out of the blue. There's nothing.
Yeah, and I'm just like, this bitch is not special. Okay, special ed maybe, because she's annoying as shit. I don't even think that actress is very good. I think she's a bad actress, but I mean,
She's not great.
But she won't be in season 3, so that'll be fine. Or maybe she will. I thought that when they brought in Wesley and he took Soji, that wasn't her name. What was her name? Cora or something like that.
Corey.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter. She's useless. I was all like, oh, this is gonna be another spinoff show. I don't have time for this one. I don't have time. This is nonsense. But we'll see. I don't think they will, because I don't think anybody's interested in a Travelers Star Trek show. So where do you think season 3 could go from here as far as story goes? Because now they real quick, they've already filmed it. They did film the second and third seasons back to back to help save with cost and scheduling and stuff like that, because Patrick Stewart's only getting older.
Yes.
But I mean, unless you've heard something, because I haven't really delved into season 3, but where do you think they can go from here besides into nonsense? I mean, they're already there, but I'm just,
I don't know. And it's because, like I said, the way season 2 ended, it's a perfect jumping off point to go down that road of, well, what's this anomaly and what's happening and the Borg and are they going to join the Federation and what are we going to do? But it would seem like they're not doing that because Girardi's not going to be in it. So it would seem that it's not going to be that. It does seem like it's going to be space based, because some of the like set photos and stuff I've seen are starship sets. So it looks like they're going to spend at least some time in actual space for a change. But the trailer, all the voiceovers in the trailer have a very nostalgic tone to them. So it's almost like, I don't know, it reminded me of All Good Things, the season ender of season 3 of Next Gen. So I don't know. And I mean, who's Brett Spiner going to be again? Another soon, because Data's definitely dead. So and the other thing is, he says, I'm not a person who's concerned with legacy or whatever, but so that whole subject's going to come up somewhere along the line about legacy. So I don't know. It seems like they're set up again to do a meandering jumble
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, which which I'm not interested in at all. Like I have no interest in that. And I'm just like, what new world problem are they gonna shove into this? I mean, like I was like, are we gonna have like voter election fraud in there next? Or you know, the you know the Florida bill? Is that gonna be the next subject you guys tackle in space? It's just so dumb. It's so dumb. I mean, I'm just yeah. Um, yeah, I hated this season. It was so bad. I mean, yeah, it was just bad.
I thought they had like I thought there was some good stuff in it that like yourself has been saying and like other reviewers have been saying that if they had made this a two-parter or a three-parter and stuck to the main themes, it could have been good. I think the story they told about Picard, I think it was misplaced in terms of when in his life it happened because it was way late in his life. But if you take that out of it and you look at this as the story of a guy who went through this, I mean, just imagine the trauma of that, right? How you would blame yourself one way or the other, whether you open the door or not. Your mother hangs herself, you blame yourself. But
Right
he
on.
did open the door on top of it. So, you know, and in the end, like Q says, you put the key back. You chose this life. You chose to be the person you are. You chose to grow up without your mother, and you've reconciled with it. And I thought that that was a good resolution to what they started with his mother. Some of the points along the way with the were, like I say, undercooked and not as fleshed out as they could have been. But I thought as a story, it felt like Next Gen to me. It felt like something they would have done on Next Gen to me. The execution was terrible. That was the problem. Same thing with the Q plot. It started out like you said, seemed like he was hell-bent on punishing Picard and he was being like a huge dick. And then in the end, he's like, it's just because I love you. And it's like, what?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and I didn't even mind the just because I love you. I didn't mind that in the end, this being who over the course of Next Gen did show different shades of personality, had come at the end of his life or that form of his life to have a fondness for humanity and for Picard. And in that way, I think if this is the last we're going to see of Q, I think that was an excellent way to wrap up the whole Q Picard, Q versus humanity story that started in Encounter at Farpoint.
Right on.
But they they fumbled their way to it. They didn't utilize him enough. They fumbled their way to it. It was completely confusing. It had the moments at the end were good, and the moments when he was like talking to him about all the skulls and all that was good stuff. But the rest of that Q plot was horrible.
Yeah, it was no good.
I thought that they had some good themes. I thought that the resolutions came out pretty good, but they just crapped all over it over the course of the season by, you know, the Discovery does this too, and other shows do it too on the CW as well. Too many plots, too many irons in the fire, too many balls in the air, too many characters that they're trying to give screen time to, too many ideas that they're trying to get out across the course of a season, and it's a giant mess. If they had stuck to those
Such a mess.
to those two plots, and you know, they spent like I don't know, they spent time on Renee that they shouldn't have spent time on.
Yeah.
They introduced Talon. It was just all over the place. I think they could have, if they had told these two stories, the Q story and the mother story on Next Gen or even DS9 or Voyager, whatever, it would have been much tighter. There wouldn't have been all this Rios and the girlfriend and the Girardi and the Seven and Rafi, which
Yeah, I agree. Like it's just so convoluted, and I'm just like, I mean, like, and you know what gets me is, and I say this all the time, is you know, I am starving for good Trek, and they're just like, they will just be all like, they'll just give you just a tiny bit of something that you're just like, oh, well, that's interesting. Let's see where we go from here. And then they're just like, no, it's a shit in a box. And you're all like, oh, okay, never mind. I don't want this. I don't want this.
yeah, exactly.
So, and it just upsets me because I'm just like, listen, because, and you know, it's the same thing for me personally with Star Wars. I don't know about you, but I used to buy Star Trek like stuff all the time, like coffee mugs, backpacks, journals. And I don't journal. Hot guys don't journal. We just let our thoughts fade away. That's what makes us hot. Anyways, that's a reference to another show. Anyways, you know, notepads, any Star Trek stuff, action figures, you know, I love the Micro Machines ones and everything. I used to buy Star Trek stuff all the time. But as soon as this stuff, like Discovery season 1, I stopped buying all that crap. Like, I don't even want anything like, you know, that's why they haven't been making, like, actually, they just started making action figures. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't want that stuff. I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah.
And, you know, if they keep doing, like, I don't even want to buy, like, I don't want to buy anything Star Trek. Like, I don't want to buy nothing, like, nothing Star Trek. And I think that they're suffering because of that. I think that, if they made good Trek, I'd be like, yeah, I want these action figures. I want, you know, can't think of anything else off the top of my head. Like, you know, I want a coffee mug with Picard's face on it. Not now, not with Rafi next to him and stuff. Cause I'm like, it's just going to remind me how bad it is.
Yeah. The only stuff that appeals to me is the old stuff.
Yeah. So, and I don't think that this season 3 is going to fix any of it. Now, speaking of season 3, this is the last season of Picard. But the showrunners said that they would like to make it an anthology, and they would like to do Star Trek Picard, but take a different character and do, say, Star Trek Worf or Star Trek, you know, Crusher. Is that something that you would be interested in if they did that? They just made this like an anthology thing where they take a character from old Trek and they do a couple of seasons of nonsense.
You know, on one level, yeah, because you know, I love Star Trek, but on the other hand, it's like their track record is just
atrocious,
abysmal. I mean, if Strange New Worlds continues to be decent, or dare we hope better than decent, in my estimation, they will have at that point tipped the balance, because I think Lower Decks is good. It took a long time to grow on me. There are certain things about it that I had to let go before I could like it, but I do like it. I think Prodigy is excellent. Strange New Worlds is showing promise. That would be 3 out of 5.
Gotcha.
So, you know what I'm saying, that are good. So they would have tipped the balance at that point. But Picard was so bad twice. Discovery's been bad for 4 seasons. So I don't know, maybe I'm saying they tipped the balance, but I shouldn't be saying that, because the other shows haven't been around as long. So if you think about the volume of the crappy shows versus the number of the good shows that have been around less long, maybe I'll take that back. But so to answer your question, you know, it's 50-50 at this point at best, whether it would be any good.
See, I don't like any of the shows. Prodigy's okay for me. I don't feel like it's Star Trek. I just it's fine, but it's like whatever. But as far as an anthology goes, I have no interest in that at all. I don't have faith in them. Strange New Worlds, I mean, the first episode, there were some things that I was like, I don't know, but in the second episode was just dragged on a little too long for me. It wasn't bad. It just like, I felt like once they got on that comet, it was like, all right, we need to maybe move it along a little bit, cut off the fat from this episode. But I don't have faith in them. I'm sorry. I've been burned too many times, Yeah, it's like if they end this season of Strange New Worlds good, I'll be like, you know what? Awesome. You've started the first step in getting me to talk nice about it. But that's I'm not gonna give them an inch. So because they'll take like a million miles. They won't just take one. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that. I'm not interested in another Picard show after this next season. Just kill him off for real, and then we'll just be done. It's fine.
If it came on, I think I would check it out. Am I pining for it? No. No.
Right on.
Not at all. No.
Yeah. No, that's all I got to say about this season of the show.
It's crazy. People love it. There are people who love it.
I would really like to see their numbers over at Paramount Plus.
Oh, me too.
And on Amazon to see where they are with this, because I don't think it's enough. I really don't. I think that they're just doing this because they need the IP to sell subscriptions. And I think they just don't care what they write. They're just, do whatever you want with Star Trek. We just need a Star Trek show to get these Trekkies in. And I also equate it to like Star Wars. Like there's Trek fans, Trekkies, whatever you want to, and then there's new Trek fans. And for the new Trek fans, I go, you guys, I don't think you know how good it was, because I don't think they watch old Trek. I think they're not interested. And I just go, listen, you want to watch good storytelling and good writing, you go watch some old Trek. I promise you there can be an entire episode where you don't see a big ship fight. And I promise you it will be a million times better than anything you've seen in new Trek. I just don't think they know how to write a good story anymore.
Now I know you don't remember a lot of details, but just to kind of go along with what you said, what I used to say to people in the first couple of years of Discovery that would defend it or whatever, or even Picard, is, can you name an episode that was really good? Can you name a classic, an episode that just was fantastic? And every once in a while someone would name one and I'd be like, oh, okay, was that even an episode? I don't remember. I couldn't tell you the name of more than one or two episodes of these shows, but I can tell you the names of a whole bunch of Next Gen episodes, and series episodes, and a couple of DS9 episodes.
I can't name them, but I can describe them. I'm not good with that stuff. I can't. I have a friend that does that. I'll be like, what was the episode where this happened? Be like, Next Generation season 2, episode 4. I'm like, how do you know that? That's so crazy. He's like, how do you not know that? I'm like, I don't know. I don't have time to memorize them.
I might be able to narrow it to the season, or say it was either this season or that season, but beyond that and the name, I couldn't get any more specific. But just for example, in season 1, there was that episode, A Measure of a Man. That's the one where Data, they had the trial over Data to determine whether he was property or not. And that's a fantastic episode of Star Trek. There was the one that
so good.
Yeah.
And Picard has like one of the best speeches in Star Trek ever in that episode. It's fantastic. Continue. Sorry.
He goes, what is he?
Yeah, exactly. It's so good. It's so very Shakespearean. He's got his hand out.
And then there was the one with Famke Janssen. From the X-Men, which was trying to remember the name of that one. Perfect Mate, where she plays Kamala, not to be confused with Kamala. And that episode is just fantastic. Name a Discovery episode that's worth you can't that lives up to that. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you 100%. That's an excellent example. I just, it's, it goes, and like I said before, I just think that this new Trek, they just want to tear everything down and just crap all over old Trek. And I just go, Star Trek was, in my opinion, very progressive as far as storytelling. And I don't think that new Trek really understands that. And like the people that are writing the show and the people that are watching their show, they're saying like, oh, it's, for instance, Discovery, they're telling a trans person's story. And I'm all like, well, you didn't really know Trek back in the day because, they told the trans story. They just didn't tell it so, overtly. Like they did it with the Trill with, oh shit, I can't remember her name, in Deep Space Nine. I'm trying to think of her name. And that character, and I brought this up before, but that character was even on Transgender magazine in the 90s on the cover. That actress was, and they had a whole spread about it. And I'm just like, if you guys, took some time to actually, do the work, I promise you, you'll find things that are in Trek that are that align with your thought process, and you will absolutely love it, because it's like I said before, it's thought provoking. It makes you think. You have to do the work yourself to find out exactly what they're talking about. Measure of Man, it wasn't just talking about if Data is a person or not. There was underlying things being said in there, and you have to think about what were they trying to say here. And New Trek, it's just like, well, you don't have to. I'll do it for you. It's fine. Here's what's going on here. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on that. That's just what I got.
Yeah, I hear you.
Was there anything else that you wanted to say before we end this?
No, I mean, I just think it's a shame that they had a couple of good ideas that they managed in the end to sort of pull out of the fire in a way that I was actually impressed with, but it was covered in so much dumb, and I wish they had tightened it up and done 2 or 3 or 4 episodes instead of 10, and not have made it so that you almost lose the forest for the trees.
Right on. I couldn't agree more with you. I think next season, I think is also 10 episodes, and I'm like, maybe they should just bust it down to like maybe 8 episodes is more your style, guys. I think 8 episodes will help get your stuff together. All right, you guys. Well, that's all we got for you. I hope you guys liked our review and everything, our little discussion here. Tell us, what did you guys think about Star Trek Picard season 2? Did you like it? Did you not like it? If you liked it, I don't understand you, but hey, good for you. If you didn't like it, please tell me why. I want to hear all the good stuff. So again, go ahead and leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go hit that like button. I won't mind. Barry, you won't mind?
Not at all.
And damn straight you won't. And if you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys on my next, Star Trek, whatever. You guys have a good day. Live long and prosper. Bye.